Good morning, everybody. This is Mark, and we're back here for the morning call. It's Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. Most likely it's going to get slow probably after lunchtime. I mean, it's been a little slow on the volume side this week, but we definitely had some action. The indices yesterday, they bounced back pretty nicely after a down move, mainly because geopolitical news with the Russia-Turkey situation. Sorry, I'm creating new world situations out there. But overall, indexes look good. I have the spider chart up here right now. You could just see we bounced off some key moving averages, 21-day, and now we're basing again, and we're up a little bit this morning. Do I think we're going to have enough energy to really head higher? That remains to be seen, meaning today or Friday. Obviously, Friday is an abbreviated session, but overall, things are very much in impact and still look okay to me for them to go higher. I still don't have a big feeling on whether the S&Ps are going to be up 5% unched or down 2% for the year. So that I'm pretty, just flat line with, but overall the chart looks good. Let's take it to some charts that we've been looking at. We said high beta could use a break a little bit, and if the break happens, it's an opportunity. If it obviously an extreme pull-in to any key moving averages, that happened yesterday in Google. You could just see. Went below the 8-day for about, an hour or two, maybe 3, filled the gap, and came right back above there. Looks fine now. You probably just need a few days of digestion for new highs to come very shortly. Amazon, hit the 8-day, which was really the first time it did that in a long time. Bounced almost immediately from there and closed the day fine, even though obviously at one point it was down 17 bucks. But you got to understand, that's how these stocks move. That's where we're at across the board. Overall, it looks like it's going to go at, close above 700 for the year somewhere, as long as we stay in there. Facebook really didn't have a whole lot of action yesterday, so I would expect it's still stuck between the 8 and 21-day. Gets above the 8-day, back in play again. But again, my ad buy will probably be above 108. I've been in. I'm going to continue to be in. But you could have bought it close to the 21-day. That's what I keep trying to tell people. You got to buy on the pullbacks. I know yesterday morning it looks scary, so you don't have to necessarily jump in. Get out of the way. Find smaller time frames to get involved with. And then, be small enough that you actually can, sit in your idea for a period of time. You don't have to just chop around every minute of the day, understanding there was weakness in high beta across the board early on. NFLX, just to add to it, I said 121 and change, basically went right to the 21-day, or 8-day actually, and bounced. I did not play it yesterday, but it's the same type of thing as almost Google. It just, needs a few more days of digesting. Tesla, I don't love the chart as I say, but it's still starting to, try to, I know it's up a little bit this morning, still hanging in there and looks okay across the board for possibly higher prices. LinkedIn, same. As you can see, there's really a general theme. Might get back down to its 21-day, below its 8-day, but overall looks pretty tight pattern. That's impact across the board. I know Microsoft, a lot of people talk about. I've been in it for probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's basing. One of these days it's going to go through that level and look, what is that, 54, 98, 55-ish. You just got to be patient. If you're trying to tick trade, it's very difficult. Understand it's a big boy cap. It's not necessarily one of those that's Google and Amazon, even though it does, move and have gyrations. The reality is it's still intact, and everybody gets so nervous. You got to buy closer to 53, high 54s, mid 54s. Maybe you take some off. That's the range for the time being. But again, one of these days it is going to make that move. Oil had a move yesterday, but today it's down. I said it yesterday in the call. I do not believe anything exciting is going to happen in oil before the end of the year, unless something geopolitical really puts us in a shockwave. So overall, it's just, to me, you can trade it back and forth, but overall, I don't think there's really a huge trend, and that goes for the Chevrons, the Schlumbergers. They look okay, but nothing for me to hang my hat on and say I want to get involved today or really get involved in any sort of fashion. I know PANW had some earnings yesterday. I think I forgot to mention it, but looks good. Got an upgrade this morning. Probably a little bit more time to base. I don't know necessarily fill in the gap, but either way, it looks good. Not necessarily a go-to stock, but it does put some of the security stocks back in play. Cyber, maybe FireEye, just to name a few across the board. Bios, we talked about KBIO yesterday. Cap down. 6 or 7, was down 20 at one point. I know it was very difficult to short, but that's how these things work. Up 3 or 4 today. You know, probably just going to find a new base over the next few days. I don't think it's an event at this point in time for us to necessarily, you know, get involved with here or there. VRX is down a little bit this morning. I do think it found a bottom, so I do think severe pullbacks, you know, can be buyable. I don't know if that's going to be at the 21-day, which it is right here, or is that maybe that's the 50-day? My bad. But keep it in mind, it's on the radar. Some of the other ones that look good, you know, JUNO to me looks okay on the biotech front. CELG, you know, probably buying on dips is their way to be. I don't really have any price points, but 3 or 4 days down. Gilead, same thing. And then you add above 108, 108.50. This is how you have to trade some of these ideas across the board. And, you know, just respect the fact of how this market's moving. You know, Priceline, one of the few high betas that, quite frankly, has been beaten up, but it did hold its 200-day yesterday and really closed right at there. So that might have found a short-term bottom, even though technically it's not one of those I would say is a go-to stock for us to really get involved with. And then lastly, some of these Chinese stocks, BIDU, nice tight pattern, basing at its highs for the most part. 3 days of consolidation. At some point, it's probably going to make another move if this market keeps going. QIHU, same type of trade, just hugging its 8-day on the way up. So you certainly have to watch some of these stocks. CTRP had good earnings, basically filled that gap. Or not filled the gap, basically came back to where it was the day of earnings. A few more days of basing. This might be the level you try to get involved. I don't think it's going to get into that gap. If it gets into that gap, you got to really obviously take notice. But overall, spiders remain intact. IWM, it was actually the strongest indice yesterday and got over some key moving averages. Maybe I'd watch that again this morning. Qs, same type of, just basing at highs, and it's fine. I know lastly I'll just mention SUNE because I know people love playing this one for some reason. I played it yesterday. You know, it's down a little bit on a sell recommendation. It probably gets to 550 now that after this move down, so after this big, you know, volume, but it's not something you have to concentrate on, overly concentrate on in my book across the board. Overall, this market seems fine. It's going to be slow action today. That's what I would expect. And, you know, that's fine. That's fine. Respect the fact that key moving averages are still holding. Respect the fact that it's a holiday week. Respect the fact that when you have conviction in your ideas, your job is to figure out a way to stick to it. If it's size, you got to be a little bit smaller so you can actually deal with some of the gyrations. That's okay. That's something as traders we always have to figure out and we always have to adjust. But it's part of the way that, you know, the people that I know that have success, they do it on a consistent basis. Good luck today. I'll be back on the radio, and I'll see you at the close.